Today, we're going to the museum. It's the 10th anniversary of the Anderson collection. Okay, so while we wait for the redhead to get here, a little background. There are two major arts museums on Stanford campus. One of them is the Cantor, which has lots of older, more diasporic work from all over the world. And there's a newer collection called the Anderson collection, donated by one family. And so they are sort of the stewards of a specific collection from the Anderson family that was donated. Now, the great thing about these museums is they are both free to the public. So as you can see, the Cantor has this classic, or rather more classical look to it, with sort of the columns and the statues and all that stuff. But there's attempts at contemporary art as well. Let's scoot you over here. There's a big text sculpture that reads as "Yo, this way," if you're entering the museum, but if you're leaving the museum, it will read as "Oi." Anyways, as part of the programming for tonight, I have grudgingly agreed to give a talk about one room of work, and so I did a bunch of research just today for the show. It turns out there's a lot of really influential and important figurative work at the Anderson that kind of encapsulate the legacy of the Bay Area figurative scene. So that's what we're gonna go see today. She is. There's red right there. Okay, so here's kind of the size of the event. It's Clementine and I listening to music. We're gonna go inside, see the 10-year anniversary exhibition, and then I'm gonna give a talk. Let's go. That's the person who's in here.
Love of living with art and their decades of dedication, generosity, and vision that opens mine and I believe our eyes to new ways of seeing.
Go Stanford! My daughter Devin and I are so grateful to be here today with you.
I don't know. The music. It is on? Okay, excellent. So, I used to be a theater kid, but I thought I'm going to use the mic anyway. To save us all. So, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Cooper Salmon. I am a current MFA candidate here at Stanford in the Arts Practice Program. Specifically, I'm a figurative acrylic painter. And what I want to do tonight is talk about this idea of legacy. So I was thinking about how Hunter and Devin are the stewards of a family collection, but in a larger way, they're the stewards of this legacy of Bay Area figuration. So I like the way that this room is curated because we have lots of big Bay Area names. We have David Park here, we have a couple of Richard Deavercorns. And so I'm thinking about our relationship to the figure and our relationships to the body. I'm an artist that lives with visual disability in the form of a genetic eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa. And it's characterized by cataracts, night blindness, and a gradual degeneration of the macula. So eventually I will be legally blind. And that actually was a huge driver for my decision to return to academia and apply to Stanford, right? I'm in this moment where my relationship with my body is changing, just as my faith in my career is rising. So I wanted to talk about our relationships with our bodies because I think the art that we live with, our relationship with the art changes. By show of hands, how many people here have lived with art? Okay, great. Grateful to see that it's a majority. And I wonder how many of these pieces are figurative. Can I get another show of hands? Okay, so a couple of them. We can start by talking about David Park, who was starting to make a name for himself as a Bay Area abstract expressionist, but then he reached a moment in his career where he stopped and decided to pivot to start working figuratively because he was beginning to lament the fact that the brand recognition and the name of the artist for abstract expressionist work, in his mind, was becoming more important than the actual content of the artwork. So when he was teaching at SFAI, and when Richard Diebenkorn was his student, he took a collection of his artworks to the dump and destroyed them, which prompted Diebenkorn to ask him, "My God, what's happened to David?" And once he did that, we started spending a lot more time on essentializing depictions of the body. So I love the way that he paints his paintings here, especially this large one, because he paints them in a way where they're recognizable in a way that we can grab onto. But the faces don't have the specificity that we say, oh, that's a specific kind of person, or that looks like my friend, or this person. The way that he paints them, we can project ourselves onto these figures, and we can live with, in conversation with the pieces. When I look at these works, every time I come into the gallery, it gets stronger. And I think that speaks as a credit to the strength of the artwork. In my own work, I think about which pieces feel stronger over time or still have something for me to connect with. Although not every work of art has to accomplish a grand task of monumentalizing figures in such a way. I'm also drawn over here to this Paul Warner look, because as an arts practitioner in the contemporary art scene in the San Francisco Bay Area, I'm always practicing. I'm always trying to, if I'm not in the studio making paintings, then I'm in my apartment at a cafe with a sketchbook and a Sharpie, drawing what's in front of me, trying to keep that creative flow going. And so when I look at a piece like this, where there's someone reading contemplatively in the afternoon light with plants in their domestic interior, it reminds me of my experience before moving to Stanford. When I was living in Berkeley, when I spent many, many mornings drawing my best friend who I lived with. And sometimes these drawings takes the form of sitting at the coffee, and she would be reading philosophy, or she'd be drawing, or she'd be still half asleep from a raucous night on the town. But every drawing, even though it's a similar subject matter, the repetition of practicing and of looking again every day at the lives and bodies of people close to me has an impact. It has an impact on my relationship with my life and in marking time, and also in thinking about grabbing those precious moments with my current level of vision. So I'm going to be teaching a painting in the figure class this fall, and so I'm looking at this piece and I'm going, oh, I'm definitely going to make my students look at this. Because when you get on your educational journey, you learn the technical basics, you learn how to use the visual grammar, and then you learn how to make things look really complex. But then you come all the way back around, and artists who have long careers, you can see this, they're able to say a lot by just employing a few marks, by just doing a little. I would challenge you all to think about your favorite work of art, and especially your favorite figurative piece, because when I come into the Anderson and I look at pieces like this, I get something new from it every time. And in my mind, a great work of art does that. It has something new for you every time. There's that old adage about when you step into a river, it's never the same experience. And that's for two reasons. The river is not the same river you stepped in, but also you are not the same person. When I think about our relationship with living with art over time, that seems to be very true, right? There's this completed past, and there's a sense of time that comes with having a long relationship with art. The last thing I want to talk about is how it's important to keep moving, right? None of us are a set version of ourselves. It's important to honor all the people we were before, but we have to keep moving. We have to keep changing, adapting with life. In my own experience as an artist with disability, I have to accept the fact that my body will continue to change, my vision will change, my artwork will change, and my life will change. And the best thing I can do is to merge with that process. I want to thank you all for being here. The fact that you're all here tonight gives me hope in that we're thinking about the value of the long look, right? Because I agree with you, in this world now where instant gratification reigns supreme. But we do need people that are willing to sit down and struggle with complicated books, images, to take the time to wrestle with these philosophical dramas that are being a person having an embodied experience in the world. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. Okay. Now I'm really tired, but
Yeah.
success. How did I do, Clem?
You did so good.
You recorded the whole thing. I
Yeah.
kind of...
Videographer extraordinary. You didn't shout me out. You were just like, my best friend.
That's true. I do like to keep it a little...
It's okay. I turned the video around to myself, and then I
Did
was
you?
just like,
That's really funny.
yeah.
Okay, so tentpole event of the year,
You
number
crushed
one, done. And we're still in front of the oi/yo
Oi.
sign that I brought up earlier. Okay,
Okay.
so on to the next thing.
All right.